And odds are, if he's averaging 102 yards against this Green Bay run defense, like they're good against the pass. I mean, I'm a little biased. We all know that. But I think Derrick Henry's just going to slice and dice tonight. He's going to look like Bobby Flay back there. What's going on, folks? And welcome in to a Monkey Night Fights show for Thursday Night Football. I'm Connor Rowntree. That's Jim Coventry. And we've got a fun one tonight. The Tennessee Titans taking on the Green Bay Packers. And Jim, I just got to ask you this. How did Green Bay find their offense? 31 points against the Cowboys last week, the number one pass rush in the NFL. I think most people thought the Cowboys were going to dominate this Packers offense. Nope. They hand it off. They look to Aaron Jones, and then Aaron Rodgers delivers the knockout punches like we've seen throughout his career. How did they do that? What's going on?
You know I'm going to have an answer for you, and I do. So Dallas's slot corner, Jordan Lewis, is out for the season. That was one injury. But then they lost Anthony Brown to a concussion during the game. He's their other corner. So they have Trevon Diggs left. That's one corner. But here was the bigger deal. Anthony Barr, the linebacker, was out, and Dallas inexplicably didn't use Micah Parsons in a featured pass rushing role. They moved him into a more traditional role. I want to say he only rushed in position 11 times, and he should have been rushing 25. And that said, Dallas, because of the loss of personnel, they were able to be attacked deep by Christian Watson, backup corner, lack of pass rush, so they can fix the Micah Parsons things this week. But Green Bay got on track. It was optimal, right? Because they had scored 21 or fewer points now in 4 of their last 5 games. They had a big losing streak of 5 games, but the Dallas injury on defense created a perfect storm for Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson to blindside them.
So let me ask you this. Tonight, they're taking on a Tennessee Titans defense who's allowed 22 points or more just once all year and has allowed 10 or fewer points in 3 out of their last 4. How is Aaron Rodgers going to move the ball tonight?
So it's an interesting matchup because Tennessee's had a lot of injuries, and they're still going to be without their strong safety, Amani Hooker, who's very good in middle of the field coverage, and Bud Dupree, he's a low average across the board guy, but he's a starter, and Zach Cunningham's been on the IR. The big one is Jeffrey Simmons. We don't know if he's playing. He's a game time decision, but we saw last week they were without 4 defensive starters, and then they ruled out a 5th one right before kickoff, their best corner. He's playing tonight. But anyway, Tennessee still played good, missing their players. They are a very well-coached defense. They're very physical. They're going to punch the Packers in the mouth here. And they've seen Christian Watson now because of Sunday, so he can't surprise them. They can account for his speed. They're going to beat up Green Bay, especially if Green Bay tries to drop back too much.
Yeah, well, and I guess that leads us right into the props kind of perfectly. Let's get into them now here on MKF, folks. And we might as well start with Aaron Rodgers. We talked about him. I mean, Jim kind of laid his spiel down, and 244 yards, 244 and a half yards is a lot to ask against a pass rush that hit Russell Wilson 18 times. I'm not exaggerating. You know, sometimes you say one of those high numbers. That is the legitimate stat line I have in my notes. They hit him 18 times. Now, something I do want to, that's insane. And something I do want to note, the way that Rodgers wasn't hit last week was because they handed the ball to Aaron Jones so much. He had 138 yards at 5.8 yards per carry. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers dropping back to throw for 244 and a half if we just saw them nullify a strong pass rush with their run game. We saw them do it last week, less than 5 days ago. It's a short week. Why not go back to what works? I say less.
Yeah, I'm going to be with you. See, and the problem Green Bay's going to face, we'll talk a little bit about this week, move to the different positions, but it's a tough defense in that they're best against the run, actually. They're not as good against the pass, but their pass rush, like you said, that pass rush starts getting home. Now, all of a sudden, if you don't have the horses on offense to exploit it, which I don't know that Green Bay does, that's problematic. And the play action game isn't going to get much traction here. So I'm with you. We're going less. Tennessee, though, like I said, despite their defense, they're still like the top 10 coverage unit, but it's because of the pressure. In Green Bay, the left side of their line, both Elgton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, they're both questionable. We don't know if they're going to play or not, but they're not 100%. So I'm with you. Less on this one.
Ryan Tannehill, 185 and a half. An interesting line here because obviously it's an attainable number for a starting quarterback in the NFL. Unless you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. Henry averaging over 100 yards. I believe it's over 102 yards per game this season. It's ridiculous. I'm going to take less on Ryan Tannehill. I see both teams trying to utilize the run, the clock ticking down, and it's King Henry all day for me if you're Tennessee.
Yeah, Connor, I'm with you. The game script has to be Tennessee running the ball. And if we look at Derrick Henry, they have held his carries down the last 2 weeks. So this short week game allows them to control that game script. If he was coming off a 35 carry game on Sunday, I would be very skeptical as they can go into that game plan, but they've managed him. So that said, though, Tannehill last week had that fluky flea flicker play that got them along to Westbrook McKechnie. That's not happening. Green Bay is still very good in the coverage end. They're without cornerback Eric Stokes. They're also without their pass rushers, Rashawn Gary, Devondre Campbell's not playing. But the Titans have the worst pass blocking in the NFL, and the Packers still can get pressure. So, yeah, they're not going to put this on the shoulders of Tannehill at all. He is not getting, honestly, very close to 185. He's probably getting in the 155 range.
Wow, I absolutely love it. Coming in with conviction and confidence on the Thursday Night Football Show. That's what we do. We're here to have some fun. We're here to give you guys the best possible breakdown that we can based off the information that is provided. Now, Aaron Jones, let's jump into it. 57.5 rush yards after what he did last week almost seems criminal. I'm going to have to take the more based off necessity, like based off of the game script that I'm seeing and based off of how Green Bay tried to nullify the Dallas pass rush last week by running the ball. Everything points to they have to run. And Aaron Jones at 57.5, if he's getting 15 plus touches, I think that's pretty attainable.
So I will tell you what I think here. In week one, I think it was, or maybe week one, Saquon Barkley goes for 164 yards on the ground against his defense. But what's happened since? Josh Jacobs hit 66. Okay, not bad. Jonathan Taylor, 58. 42. Dameon Pierce, 35. These are the best running backs they faced. Now, Green Bay comes into this game. And again, we don't know how well they game plan it. But if I am game planning against Tennessee, 7 different running backs have caught at least 5 passes against them. So, and that is a definite tactical advantage. They don't have the linebacker play to cover the running backs out of the backfield, especially an accomplished receiver like Aaron Jones. I think that if Green Bay plans it right, they're throwing Jones, as they did 9 targets a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. They're doing that again. They're going to pass to him. I don't think there's going to be room to run. Tennessee's a top 3 run defense. Green Bay, bottom 5 in run blocking. It's not a good run matchup at all. So I'm going to say he gets it done through the air, but I think it's going to be less on the ground, Connor.
Well, let me ask you this. On MKF, they have 15.5 fantasy points for Aaron Jones. Is that where you see him being effective, do you think? And remember, the PPR on MKF, every catch is 1 point. So if you're projecting 4 or 5 catches just out of the backfield, that's 5 points right there. Without the yardage, without the possible touchdowns.
Yes, so that is completely it, Connor. I go personally less on the rush yards, but I definitely go more on the fantasy points. He has to be the engine of the offense here, and we've seen it now. They will use him in the passing game. So yes, we're more on the points.
Absolutely love it. And then flipping things over to Derrick Henry. We can talk about his fantasy point line at 18.5. We can talk about his rushing line at 101. My idea is, well, if he gets 102 yards, odds are he's going to get the 18 fantasy points. And odds are, if he's averaging 102 yards against this Green Bay run defense, like they're good against the pass. I mean, I'm a little biased. We all know that. But I think Derrick Henry's just going to slice and dice tonight. He's going to look like Bobby Flay back there.
You know, and I'm with you on this. Sometimes game planning, when we face a team like Tennessee, the defensive coaches, the first thing you say is, we're not scared about them passing the ball. Go ahead and beat us, Ryan Tannehill. We are going to put as many bodies as possible in the box to stop a one-dimensional team. Now, that has mixed results, right? Saquon Barkley, Green Bay held him to 13 carries for 70 yards. It was a low carry amount. The yards per carry were really good. Breece Hall tagged him for 115 yards, but I don't think they were selling out to stop him because they really didn't know what they had yet. Pollard hit him up for 115 yards last week. So all told, I think even though Green Bay is going to stack the box, the commitment to Derrick Henry will lead to that 30-yard run in the fourth quarter, that one that puts him over the top. And maybe he gets 2 of those long runs. So in a roundabout way, it's a bad scenario, but he's going to go more because of extreme volume.
Yeah, I mean, he is the identity of that offense, right? And it's been that way through the last couple seasons. And the way that Mike Vrabel coaches is that smash mouth, in your face player mentality. Like, let's hype this team up. Let's go win the line of scrimmage, and let's do it again and again. And we'll do it till they're tired and we break a big one and we score. So I just, based off of everything from Tennessee, I completely agree with you, Jim. It's the Derrick Henry show all day, every day when Tennessee takes the field. Now, wide receiver props. This is interesting. We might as well talk about Allen Lazard. I have him on my fantasy team. He went from questionable to healthy. So Lazard's in. We might as well talk about Robert Woods because his face is right there. Now, Lazard at 60.5. Man, I'm struggling with this because it's one deep shot. And that's what Aaron Rodgers is probably going to look to do this week. That's what we saw last week. It was the deep shots. And 60 yards, I mean, 2 35-yard balls, and he's there. The question is, are there going to be 2 to Lazard? And the volume will probably be there. When Lazard is healthy and on the field, he gets the target share. He's healthy. He's going to be on the field. I'm going to have to take more just because of hope, maybe, and because he's the go-to guy and because he can do it in one play.
And he has been the go-to guy. But did things change last Sunday? Christian Watson, he dropped.
He showed his speed.
And that's the thing, Connor. That's the thing. You're right on it, right, as always. You understand that just the presence of that speed, which Lazard doesn't have, if they are running him on deep routes, and even if they don't connect and they throw deep, everything else loosens up. The defense can't play as aggressively in the front 7 because they have to worry about maintaining discipline and getting pressure so those deep shots can't happen. But that speed stresses the defense. And I wonder if this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' new toy right now because of the success they had on Sunday with 3 touchdowns and 100 yards on 4 catches. And that's what concerns me. I think that's his deep threat now. Lazard has always been an outstanding blocker as a receiver, and they love him in that role. But when they have to use him as the guy, they do. I don't think coming off of Sunday, they feel they need to use him as the guy. So for that reason, I think Watson gets the deep shots and Lazard goes less.
Well, there you go. No confidence. I have 0 confidence in the wide receivers going into this matchup as we talked about it. So as I said, that was a hope and a wish. As for Robert Woods, I'm taking less. I don't see much happening on the Tennessee pass attack tonight. If I'm taking less on a quarterback in the NFL at 185 yards, that isn't Justin Fields, that doesn't rush for 140 yards a game. Odds are I'm not going to be following the wide receivers into battle there. Now, let's ask a question here because this is interesting. What's your take on Christian Watson? Is he legit? Is he the real deal? Based on what you saw, you asked, we brought him up. We brought up the speed. Is he for real?
So I brought up earlier in the show, and I'll remind those that kind of faded on this, that it was a perfect storm against Dallas. They were down 2 corners. Micah Parsons was not rushing the passer because of the injury to Anthony Barr, and Dallas had no way to know that Christian Watson was going to be a focal point of the offense. Rodgers only threw 20 passes in that game, and it was a perfect storm. So he blindsided them. He can't blindside anybody right now. Now, he's very talented. He's very fast. Rodgers will throw the ball deep. But we've already seen drop issues. Like I said, he dropped a touchdown in the last game. So I think his speed is legit. His impact on a defensive game plan is legit. I don't know if he yet has the consistency to be a week-to-week guy. He's not a refined route runner. He's basically a situational deep threat. And if defenses can handle that, put a player over the top because they worry about that speed, it opens up other things for the Packers, but it makes it more difficult for the rookie receiver. So I think he'll be good, but I don't think we're going to see any consistency this season.
Yeah, that's fair, right? Still learning the ropes, and he doesn't really have someone to learn off of. He doesn't really have an all-pro wide receiver. There's no Devontae Adams in Green Bay anymore to say, hey, maybe line up like this to get an extra second off the release. It's just little tips and things that you learn from those veteran guys. He doesn't have that nourishment of knowledge, that plethora of knowledge coming down for him. So it's going to be a little tougher for him to develop. At least that's my opinion on any position in any competitive sport. Really, it's always good to have a mentorship for development. Anyway, it's time to dance, baby. You ready for it? You ready for it?
Win this dance?
Yeah. Well, frick, let's go. I need one. I need a touchdown dance. Like, I could use a little celebration, and I think it all starts with Derrick Henry. That's the guy. Aaron Jones, and then I will go Allen Lazard because he is the red zone target, the big body guy, and we've seen Rodgers throw him the ball when in the red zone. If they want to change it up, why not look Lazard's way?
Definitely love those picks, Connor, and I'm going to go with you on Henry and Aaron Jones, and I certainly see the path to Lazard. I'm going to go a little different in my third one. I'm going to go with Big Bob Tonyan as my third. Tennessee has had significant issues defending the tight end this season, and Amani Hooker, the strong safety, is out, and he's part of their tight end coverage package, and they're down linebacker as well. So not only do they have bad defense against tight ends, but I think Tonyan is going to have a decent game statistically as well here with Christian Watson stretching the field. So I'm going to get, like you, Jones, Henry, and I get Tonyan.
Yeah, see, I was thinking like it's Tonyan. Yeah, Tonyan was the guy I was looking at, but again, I'm talking this Lazard thing into fruition.
Yeah,
I just throw it out there. It's the Conor McGregor thing, Speak it into fruition. So let's go. Any other notes though, Jim? Anyone else in the touchdown dance? If any one-off touchdown scores, anything that if anyone wanted maybe a cheekier touchdown dance, should we say? Anyone else that you're looking to hit pay dirt?
I mean, look, if Aaron Rodgers is going to throw deep shots to Christian Watson, he scored 3 times last week. I mean, speed is speed, right? And if they don't put a guy over the top on him, he could score, right?
Yep. And he would have had more. He could have had more. Yeah. All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us today. Now it's time to let the people know where they can find all your amazing content. And then after that, we'll get our predictions in for Thursday Night Football.
All right, thanks, Connor. You can find me on Twitter at Jim Coventry NFL. I do threads each week at the positions to go over trends and actionable advice for the positional players. I also do pretty much 5-day-week videos on the RotoWire YouTube page. And you also could find me on SiriusXM Fantasy Channel 87 every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern and from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern on Sundays, and always on RotoWire.com.
Yeah. Absolutely love it. I actually love tuning in. I actually tuned into the NFL show on Sirius just for a little pregame last week. Absolutely loved it, Jim. You always kill it on air, and I love being on air with you on this MKF and platform because it's fun to say. Now, fun game tonight for me at least. I think if you're an NFC North fan, this has the makings to be a fun game because you can watch the Packers get slapped in the mouth. However, the Packers showed resilience. Aaron Rodgers was literally flexing on the Cowboys last week. Hard to kick the MVP when he's not down, when he's getting back up. Jim, what are your predictions for Thursday Night Football?
So, look, I do think the Titans are a physical team. They know how to win. People are a little silly about the Packers as out that last win. They had 5 straight losses. They're not a good team right now. So this physical team is coming into this game. The Titans are going to pull this one out 19-14.
Yeah, low scoring affair. But as we said, right, that's kind of the game plan. With the game script that we're both projecting with both teams running the ball, the clock is going to tick, leading to less points. And I'm completely with you. I'm feeling something more like a 21-7 though. I just kind of want a little bit of an embarrassment. I think Tennessee's going to be able to run the ball. I think it's going to be a very low scoring first half, and then the defenses are going to eventually start to deteriorate. Tennessee's going to break it off on the ground. Aaron Rodgers is going to get desperate, hit one of those deep shots for a big score, and then look for one later. Interception, game over. Tennessee closes it out by 2 tutties. Boom. Full lockdown. That's just overconfident right there. But hey, you never know. I might actually just bet that exact line. Anyway, folks, that's Jim Coventry. I'm Connor Rowntree. Thanks for tuning in to Monkey Night Fights Thursday Night Football Preview. Enjoy the game.